Season 3 of The Mandalorian is in the books, and now we get to twiddle our thumbs and wait for Ahsoka later on this year. But in the meantime, let's rank every episode of Season 3 from worst to best. Number 8, Episode 6, Guns for Hire. This episode was, in the words of the maker,
I think it's too much.
I had a feeling you hated men.
It completely ejected me from Star Wars with the several celebrity cameos and wooden, over-the-top acting. The tone was silly and whimsical, which can work for Star Wars in proper doses, but for me it really was just too much. I also didn't like how the show sidestepped a potentially dramatic conflict between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan for the Darksaber, a conflict the show itself set up, mind you, back when Moff Gideon knowingly yielded the saber to Din in Season 2. There was simply precious little to like from this episode, in my humble opinion. Number 7, Episode 3, The Convert. The Convert was the Mandalorian trying to do something a little different, and I can certainly appreciate the world building it did, but when I step back and look at the season as a whole, this episode seems superfluous and could have easily been completely omitted without changing much. This was also the longest episode of the season at nearly an hour long, and we spent the bulk of that time with two characters who, to that point, I'd have hesitated to even grant the rank of side character to. We never see Dr. Pershing again this season, and it is never made clear why it was so important to Moff Gideon's plan that his mind be turned to mush. The episode goes out of its way to show the New Republic's apathy regarding his research, so it wasn't like there was any danger of it falling into their hands. Just a puzzling episode, and a waste of time considering there are only 8 total episodes. Number 6, Episode 1, The Apostate. Of all the episodes of The Mandalorian, The Apostate was certainly one of them. Number 5, Episode 5, The Pirate. The king is dead, long live the king. I hope Pirate King Gorian Shard is performing alongside Chuck E. Cheese and the other creepy animatronics at birthday parties in pirate heaven. Because man, was he an underwhelming character. I was intrigued by him in Episode 1 and was hoping he'd be an actual threat rather than just a cartoonishly villainous pirate, but alas, as Julius Caesar once said after being stabbed 23 times, it is what it is. All jokes aside, this was an action-packed episode that gave us our first mass Mandalorian firefight since Season 1, which was really cool. I also thought Bo-Katan was phenomenal in this episode, as she was all season, more on that later. We absolutely stan Bo-Katan on this channel. Also, Zeb! Number 4, Episode 4, The Foundling. This was a fun little episode. Obviously, the Grogu flashback was cool, and it was awesome to see Ahmad Best back in Star Wars, but the highlight of the episode was Bo-Katan for me. She continued to take center stage and led the war party after Paz's son, who by the way must have an insanely high speech skill, as he convinced the flying monsters not to eat him for like a full day. We also finally get a little more of Paz character development, which was nice. Number 3, Episode 8, The Return. When measured against every other episode of this season, The Return fares quite favorably, but measured against the previous 2 season finales, and I do believe it is a bit lacking. Personally, I thought this stage was set for something dark and tragic to go down, something that would take its place in Star Wars history and be remembered forever. What we got was a cool, if not predictable finale where the good guys win and the bad guys lose. It was just very safe. There was some phenomenal action in this episode though, particularly in the aerial battles. I also enjoyed how Din, Bo, and Grogu worked together to defeat the Praetorian Guards and Moff Gideon. But, as Kylo will tell you, I just wanted more! But maybe that's on me, you know? Number 2, Episode 7, The Spies. To this day, no one has been able to give me a justifiable reason that this episode is titled The Spies. Where were all these goddamn spies? I'm looking, and all I can find is one Elia Kane who appears for about 2 minutes at the beginning of the episode. Regardless, this one was a doozy. Great visuals, action, music, character moments, and Paz's last stand, which will take its rightful place among the other great last stands in Star Wars. And number 1, Episode 2, The Minds of Mandalore. I can't really explain it, but something in this episode took me from, I'm a Bo-Katan enjoyer, to, I would die for this woman. Katie Sackhoff was great, and I'd like to take my hat off, to her this season.
What are you looking at?
This episode gave us our first look at the desolation of Mandalore, and it had kind of a stark dystopian beauty to it. I also enjoyed the mysticism of the Minds of Mandalore and how Din's steadfast belief in the way was enough to topple Bo-Katan from her mountain of cynicism. It was just a very well done episode that felt true to the Mandalorian and struck a nice balance between appealing to casual and hardcore fans. Hands down, my favorite of the season. But that was just my opinion. It certainly was not fact, so let me know your list down below. Like and subscribe if you feel we deserve it. I'm Zach of ADHD, and I'll see you in the future. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our channel members: Aden, Arroyo, AD Edits, Dale, Erdman, Charlie, Tmoney, Sartwell, and Colin H. Thank you so much, you guys.